Eric, we love you. You are the gift. Thank you.
First of all, we wanted to have something in Baltimore to celebrate Eric's 75th birthday, which was actually in April. And it took us this long to find a time when we could get all the principals together. And so we're very, very happy that you have been able to come out this afternoon and share this special time with us.
His colleagues throughout the United States and Europe have decided to honor Eric by contributing to a collection of essays for a volume entitled Lutheranism, Legacy and Future, Essays in Honor of Eric W. Gritsch. Finally, a word must be said about the greatest gift ever given to Eric and those who know and love Eric, and that is his wife Bonnie. Bonnie sees and admires the great scholar for who he is, and still puts up with him nonetheless. She keeps Eric on track and loves him dearly.
I was pleased to draft the resolution establishing the Dr. Eric W. Gritsch Chair of Theology at the Melanchthon Institute. I've continued to read Eric's works, attend his classes in Houston, laugh at his jokes and personal anecdotes. I can't even think of the story about Resurrection Gritsch without laughing yet. Each time. So, Eric, I want to thank you for many things. Thank you for your knowledge imparted to me. Thank you for your mentoring of the Melanchthon Institute in Houston. And thank you for your service to the church at large.
In the summer of 1993, then I read his great book, Martin Gutzko's Jester. And I remember, I read this book and it just blew my mind away. I think after Benton, this is the greatest book written on Luther. It is a comprehensive work. It is both critical and ecumenical at the same time. And I decided that Eric's works should be made available to the Hungarian Lutherans as well as people belonging to other denominations, also to the Hungarian academic world. And now 3 of his books are already translated. We are going to launch the Hungarian edition of the book.
He was also involved in interfaith relations, has been. He lectured with Mark Tannenbaum on Jewish-Lutheran relations back in the 80s. All the way back in the 70s, he joined as a delegated participant the Lutheran Catholic Dialogue and did that for more than 20 years. He was on the National Catholic Workshop on Jewish and Christian relations, the Board of Directors of the Ecumenical Institute of the Lutheran World Foundation, and I could name many more. Since 1994, he has expressed his ecumenism locally by being first on the faculty and then on the board of directors of the Ecumenical Institute of Theology. And so, on behalf of Father Levitt and St. Mary's Seminary, the entire Ecumenical Institute faculty and student body, we want to thank Eric for his commitments and express our appreciation for everything that he's done for these many years. So, congratulations, thank you, and thanks to all of you.
And it seemed to me what Eric has meant for me is that sometime in the last 10 years, he kind of pulled up a chair in my intellectual and personal life and took a seat. To kind of mix my metaphors a little bit here, Eric is kind of the intellectual equivalent of an easy chair, a glass of brandy, a good Havana, Tokai, whatever your choices are, that he just sits down and engages you in conversation, and that turns into a friendship.
Right. So we settled down in East Berlin, and not too long after that, I think, Eric Gritsch visited us, and he actually was my first experience on this continent to meet somebody who actually could speak an English, a language at all.
He has led us, and he led us during that difficult interim period between the past pastor and the present pastor, and much as Pastor Evers worked to call Pastor Penner, Pastor Gritsch worked to call Pastor Rogalin.
This is a man we have among us and who has been a blessing all glory be to God and all thanksgiving for the life of Eric Gritsch.
Well, I'm so happy that this is not my funeral, because eulogy after eulogy has been said, and I always thought it is better to hear them, not than not to hear them. And I don't have to be resurrected to hear them from all of you. It's interesting to listen to one's image that's created by one's work and by friends and acquaintances, because I'm not easy sometimes, and I ruminate and do all kinds of things in my writing and thinking that sometimes has to have a tough audience. But that's what life is about. So that was not in the cards, so I became a theologian. Remembered my father, who was a pastor, and who taught me some things, but not that I agreed with. And I got pushed from Vienna to Zurich, Switzerland, from Zurich to Basel, Switzerland, from Basel to Yale, and so on, and met all those interesting people, and I thought, well, this is it. Whether I like it or not, that's what I have to do. And I thought, if I become a theologian, I'm too systematic, and I bring all kinds of systems. I became a church historian, so that I get disappointed. Because if you study history, you find out that some things don't work. And after years and years, I finally thought, I'm going to publish my own catechism to see what people really do. It's over there. It starts with evil. It says everything goes wrong sometimes, and that's we agree on. There's evil, justice, then you get baptized, you go to church, enjoy the Lord's Supper, do some praying, and then get into music and give up. Goes from evil to music, 7 nice steps. And if you learn how to do that, you're spiritually so well formed that nothing really rattles you much anymore, particularly if others join in with you. And I tried it out in Denmark and Europe and places here and there, and people who were really desperate went to it and helped me to develop it. And so I got some kind of feedback that I might be on the right track. And so one is pushed into things. I have 4 little chapters in the memoir that says from until 1945 I had a footloose life, PK, pastor's kid, beautiful youth, then came the war and the hard times, then came academic training, spiritual training, then a career which started in Wellesley, Massachusetts with the girls' school, ended up in Gettysburg and Baltimore, and in between all those interesting people from various places, even from around the world. And I thought, well, this really was meant for me. And so I reached the point where after 65 I thought, well, there are now 7 years, and I really should have been called away at 65. And I began to eat more and gain weight more and got stuck. I have a hard time getting rid of it now, because I had given up too early. I mean, you have to be aware that you should at least fit into a coffin. But I decided to be cremated because it's more economical. But you have to learn that life is mortal, and that when you're mortal and a Christian, you know that life has a future, and the present and the past, no matter how they are, that they're not the future. This world already had it. They've had it. We can laugh about it and go on the meantime and be together. And when the time comes to go, you go. You have done your run, and you have arrived at the destination you're supposed to be. But in the meantime, in the good time here, there's Zion Church. There are parties like this. And I must say, I've appreciated them. I was not in favor of them because I tried to be immodestly modest. But Bonnie and others, former students, felt they wanted to do that. Did it in Houston. not everybody could go to Houston. In Houston, they made a goulash and an apple strudel and drank bull's blood or wine, and it hit the Texans like a sledgehammer. At the time, they had no goulash before, probably. But it was a wonderful time with the church and the institute there, just as it is a wonderful time here. And those of you who were able to come here, I really say thank you from my heart. And I hope that this is not the last time we meet. There's a lot of stuff that still is to be done in this church and elsewhere. And so I would say, let me just end with a story. The story is told that when you study psychiatry in Vienna, when you really find out who is mentally ill, it's hard to find out. And the American psychiatrists came to Vienna, to the place where the real mentally disturbed people were. It's called Steinhof, where you know they are really odd. There's a man who had a toothbrush on a dog leash, and he said, "Come, Fritzy, come, let's go." The American psychiatrist went there and said, "How is your dog?" Blending in, you know. Said the patient, "My dog? You think you're crazy? I'm crazy? That's not my dog, it's my toothbrush." The psychiatrist, my God, he went one way. The guy with the toothbrush went the other way. When the psychiatrist was no longer within earshot, he said to the toothbrush, "Well, Fritzy, we really fooled him, didn't we?" And so, I think sometimes God tells us that. You think you're not quite together. And then you have an encounter like this and say, "It ain't so bad yet." You go on with your toothbrush, and you know it's not a toothbrush. And that is one way in which one can live a little bit upside down, a little bit in a different direction, like the Dead Poets Society, who were best when they stood on their heads. And that's what we sometimes do. But in the meantime, thank you for everything you've done here and for the future that is still ours. Thank you.